Scott Brown has defied the odds all his life. He's the Republican who came out of nowhere last year and won the Senate seat Ted Kennedy held in Massachusetts for 47 years. Brown's an anti-tax fiscal conservative whose election in blue state Massachusetts energized and helped launch the Tea Party movement. As the 41st Republican senator, everyone thought he'd be the no vote that blocked nearly everything President Obama and the Democrats proposed. But he's turned out to be unpredictably independent and beholden to no one. Now Senator Brown has written a memoir called Against All Odds about the hardships of his early years. As the child of 7 broken marriages, his childhood was marked by neglect, violence, and trauma.
The story will continue in a moment.
Do you think that you have innate resilience?
I think as a result of what I've gone through, it makes me tougher, absolutely.
Things roll off your back more easily
Absolutely.
because of your
Everything.
life.
Yeah. When I'm getting kind of the crap beat out of me outside in the political spectrum, I'm like, this is nothing. Bring it. Let's go. Next.
Scott Brown has needed that bring-it-on toughness in Washington, where he's showing everyone he's his own man, with a voting record that has his fellow Republicans in a dither.
I look at each and every bill and on its merits, regardless of party affiliation. The party plays no bearing whatsoever at all in any of the votes that I take, period. So to say, well, the party wanted this, I don't care what the party did.
You don't hear that kind of talk every day. While Brown votes with the Republicans against tax increases, he has broken ranks on other major issues, like a jobs measure and ending the military's don't ask, don't tell policy. Whichever way you vote, you're very likely to tick off the Tea Party or Massachusetts. You're right caught in this horrible vise.
I don't know if I'm taking off the people in Massachusetts. I think I'm doing exactly what they wanted. They sent somebody down there who they wanted to be an independent voter and thinker. And if I'm upsetting people on the left and on the right, then I must be doing my job. I've had a history of working across party lines and plan to do the same thing here.
When he worked across party lines and became a decisive vote in passing the bill to expand government oversight of Wall Street, the Tea Partiers called him Benedict Brown and said they would support another Republican when he runs again.
He's in the tradition that we should have in our politics, where you stand for some things, but you can differ reasonably.
You compromise, the dreaded word.
Absolutely.
Democratic Congressman Barney Frank negotiated with Brown to win his vote on the financial reform bill. The Wall Street Journal op-ed page went crazy, attacking him, the Tea Partiers that said he was a betrayer.
Yes.
Everything came down on his head. He voted for this bill in the end.
Frankly, my guess is that in Massachusetts, that's the kind of attack that politicians welcome, because you had a fairly shrill group attacking you on something that you did that was very popular, and you don't mind getting that attention.
It's true that Brown's independence is paying off back home. Polls rank him the most popular politician in the state. And in Washington, he's a fascination. At 51, a youngster in Senate terms, he's probably the only member who competes in triathlons and half Ironmans. He may look a little like the actor Richard Gere, but his dismal childhood was more like David Copperfield's. How many moves did you make? How many different houses when you were growing up?
Well, within the first 18 years, it was 17 different moves, 12 separate houses, and that doesn't count the times I ran away.
Right. So where are we?
Yeah, we're actually on Avon Street at the first house.
Back in his hometown of Wakefield, Mass., he tells us how he suffered as a little boy from physical and psychological abuse at the hands of his mother's many husbands. He lived here with stepfather number 1. Dan Sullivan was his name. He was kind of a mean cuss.
Yeah, he was a truck driver, hot-tempered. I remember him being a pretty good drinker.
In the book, Brown tells what happened when he woke Dan from a hangover. He plowed into me with those massive knuckles until I was shaking, sobbing, snot pouring out of my nose. And then he starts beating up your mother. And there's an incredible scene in the book. You're 6 years old, and you jump to your mother's defense.
Yeah. I was in bed, and I heard her screaming, and There was fighting down in the basement area, and I remember him hitting her, and pretty, just pounding on her. I remember just grabbing his leg and just biting it, right in the inside of his thigh.
With your teeth?
With my teeth, just pounding me because I wouldn't let go. And it was like, trying to shake me off and everything.
You're 6 years old.
Yeah.
But when Scott was 10, he experienced another kind of abuse at the hands of a camp counselor. You tell us that you were actually sexually abused. More than once.
Yep. Fortunately, nothing was ever fully consummated, so to speak, but it was certainly back then very traumatic.
Well, you say it wasn't consummated, but you knew.
Oh, I knew.
He touched you.
Yeah, he touched me, and I knew that.
And he made you touch him.
Yeah.
And then you thought you had escaped, and he came for you again.
Yeah.
More than once.
As predators do. He said, if you tell anybody, I'll kill you. I will make sure that no one believes you, and that's the biggest thing. When people find people like me at that young, vulnerable age who are basically lost, the thing that they have over you is they make you believe that no one will believe you. You can't.
So you never reported it?
No. My mom will read about it for the first time. My wife has read about it. No one. I haven't told anybody. That's what happens when you're a victim. You're embarrassed. You're hurt.
Well, what about his parents? He says his father, Bruce, had all but abandoned him, moving to another town, raising a new family, rarely visiting, and paying such little child support that Scott threatened to take him to court. His mother, Judith, a waitress, struggled to pay the bills, going on and off welfare. He writes that she drank, and they battled. When she'd threatened to break Scott's sports trophies, he would run away for days. And you started to get in trouble.
I did.
You were playing with matches?
I was, yeah. That's the garage I almost burned down.
He seemed to want to show us the low points of his childhood.
Yeah, well, this used to be a record store. I stole some records there.
This is the record store where you stole the records?
Yep. Well, this is one of them. And then this is Park Snow used to be, and this is where I stole the suit. And this is used to be the old A&P.
You stole food?
Stole food from there, yeah.
His crime spree ended when he was caught walking out of this mall with Black Sabbath records in his overalls and arrested. He was 13. Lucky for him, a sympathetic judge let him off. You came perilously close to being a juvenile delinquent.
Yep.
You did.
I did, I know. I think about it still to this day. Every single day I think about it.
So would you say basketball was your salvation? Is that going too far?
I think that's fair.
Brown says he never sought professional help for the traumas in his life. Sports have always been his therapy.
That's it.
As a teenager, he would break into the gym at Wakefield High School to shoot hoops deep into the night, literally working out his anger. He became co-captain of the varsity team and admits to being a bit of a hot dog on the court.
You write about this. You write about your coach trying to break you of all of that.
Yeah, I mean, I come down and I, do all the behind the back, all that stuff. And
with the help of his coaches, he got a scholarship to Tufts University. After college, his big break. He won a Good Looker contest and became a centerfold in Cosmo. That launched his modeling career, which is how he paid for law school. His success as a lawyer made him wealthy for the first time in his life.
that was our meeting in the Oval Office.
Did he talk you into anything?
No.
Did you talk him into anything?
We were talking, which is
Really
important.
I was curious about how his deprived childhood has shaped him as a politician,
The senator from Massachusetts.
and asked about his votes against extending unemployment benefits and jobs programs for low-income teens.
Your mother was on welfare.
Yeah.
You even
Periodically.
benefited, you tell us in the
Absolutely.
book, from one of those kinds of programs, CETA, is that how you say
CETA,
it?
yeah.
And yet, you vote against those kinds of
But I
programs.
voted.
I'm just trying to get at the mindset.
You're trying to, infer somehow that I'm not, focusing on people that are unfortunate. So
When you make those votes, are you thinking, my God, this was what
I think about each and every vote. It's not.
But those particularly.
Every vote. I think about how it affects people. Each and every vote.
But I'm asking, do you think of your own child?
No, not really. No, in the back of my mind, yeah. These are votes that are real. They're today, and it's 45 years later. And in this day and age, with the deficit running so high, we have to find a way to use the money that's there in the system. It's critical.
How his childhood influences his politics is one thing. How it impacts his family is another. Unlike his mother and father, each have been married 4 times, Brown's been married only once for 24 years to TV reporter Gail Huff.
Scott is an opposite of everything you went through.
I know.
You know,
Well,
he
how
went
does-
through all these marriages and he said, I want to have a good marriage. He went through a difficult childhood. He said, I want to be a good parent. All of those experiences ended up having a reverse and opposite effect on him.
She says he never missed a basketball game or horse show when their daughters were growing up. Ayla, now 22, is an aspiring country singer, and Ariana, 2 years younger, is studying veterinary medicine. In his book, Brown laments the loss of his family's privacy since he became a senator.
But now with this book, don't you think it's going to be twice as much?
Really? See, I don't think that.
But it's awfully intimate. It's like going on Oprah and spilling it all out there.
Well, it's who I am. I can't hide from who I am. It's what happened.
Well, you didn't have to tell it.
Yeah, but and it's like half truths. I like to just get it out there.
And I want to just make a special thanks to my mom and dad for kind of putting up with me. Mom, Dad.
Brown says writing his book helped him reconcile with his parents, Judith and Bruce. That's them he's kissing on election night. His anger is behind him, he says, or most of it, as we found when we asked him about the house where he lived in high school and where he fought hand-to-hand battles to protect his mother from yet another violent stepfather named Larry.
I heard that not many years ago, Larry's house, that house came up for sale, and you actually thought about buying it.
I actually called the realtor and went in and took the tour and relived kind of where everything was and put it to make sure I wasn't kind of dreaming. And then as I left, I said, man, I wish I had the money. I'd just buy this thing and burn it down.
So you want to buy it to burn it down?
That's it, yeah. It's a beautiful house. The people who live there, I'm sure, love it. But, you know, if the walls could talk.
Right. Well, they talk now.
Yeah.